Whenever you boot up the PS5, you get a jingle, followed by a fairly quiet sound. It's music, but it doesn't really have much of a rhythm. Actually signing in, you get another brief jingle, followed by more of the regular noise. I like this. If you use your PS5 a lot, you don't want it to be annoying, which I unfortunately found the PS4's main menu theme to be. I found the PS4 main menu theme distracting and annoyingly memorable. It was higher in pitch, which meant it had a harder time drifting into the background for me. And the random chime hits serve little purpose. For a song you're going to listen to every single time you boot up your system and when you idle on the main menu, it can get annoying. I prefer the PS5's main menu music a lot more since it's lower pitch with little bumps going up in pitch here and there, but never going as high pitch as the PS4's main menu music. It has an easier time drifting into the background for me. Still not as good as the PS3 main menu music though. Whoa, now that shit deserves a Grammy! So why am I dedicating a whole video to the PS5's home menu music? Well, because it has more than that. If we hover over Astro's Playroom, the pack-in title, we get this, a higher-pitched but still soft melody. It has a high pitch for the adventure and 3D collectathon-esque gameplay within, but is still soft to and keep with the sound established by the default music. And what's cool about this is that a lot of the games have their own home music, and some of them are actually in line with the lower tempo stuff that the default theme establishes. Keyword being some. Let's start off basic with Final Fantasy XVI. It has this kind of dark fantasy feel to it. Honestly reminds me a teensy bit of the Game of Thrones theme, but without as strong or specific a melody. Shoutouts to how it loops. It doesn't loop back to the beginning, but instead loops back to the choir singing, so it's a bit harder to notice when it does loop. Fall Guys I love by virtue of it being a quieted down bass version of the Fall Guys theme, being memorable without being overbearing, which really is the key word here, overbearing. The best PS5 home menu songs are ones that are very light and in the background, which is why it's hilarious when you put in LEGO Star Wars and it just goes... This one is so insanely at odds with the PS5 home menu music that I always find it hysterical when I hover over it. If I was deciding the PS5 home menu theme, I probably would have gone with the Force theme. A soft melody that's as iconic as the actual Star Wars theme. Admittedly, that wouldn't be as funny as... but I still think it would have worked better. On the subject of home music that is way too loud and just immediately gets just BWAM, we also got Fortnite with these really horrible, loud, generic action movie-esque drums. I was actually going to give Fortnite partial points here, since the original song for it kind of built up to the music a little bit, but for some reason they changed it so it just immediately goes BWAM the instant you hover over it. To give an idea of what the old Fortnite theme sounded like, here's Helldivers 2, starting with a soft opening melody, followed by more intense, but bassy music as to not blast your eardrums. It's just as generic as Fortnite's, but way less bombastic. Honestly, typing this out, it's kind of weird, seeing as most of Fortnite's actual music in-game is far from intense. And when you're playing in an actual game, there's no music. Back to LEGO, we've got the LEGO Hobbit, with just the theme song for the movie. Very simple, but unlike Star Wars, the Hobbit theme is quite the soft melody. On the subject of Lord of the Rings, Middle-earth Shadow of War has quite the intense theme, with a deep orchestra bellowing in with great intensity. And then nothing. This isn't edited, it actually just stops instead of looping. Out of the games I found for this video, only 3 did this. One of them being the theme for Spider-Man 2, which is fairly generic otherwise. It fades in and isn't overly loud, which is good, and to its credit, they do use the motif seen throughout the games, but it's still quite generic. Minecraft kind of has a get-out-of-jail-free card, since any of Minecraft's songs in the actual game are a perfect fit for the PS5 home menu, with all the songs being incredibly soft. On the subject of indies, Tunic has a fitting theme too, being soft and full of mystery, just like the game itself. Was surprised to see Shovel Knight not have a home menu theme, seeing as Shovel Knight is kind of the king of strangely specific platform-exclusive features that no one would complain about if they weren't there. But yeah, no home menu theme, which goes for most games on PS5. Now for the catalyst of this video, GTA 5's home menu music. I liked how it felt intense, but thanks to the focus on bass, never overly loud like Fortnite. Initially, this one was my favorite, but I think if played for too long, the bass could drive someone mad. The best way I can describe the bass is after listening to it for too long, it feels like it's tripping over itself. And I'd remiss not to mention the PS5 home menu music for Red Dead Redemption 2. A PS5 home menu song I'd describe as genuinely beautiful. It has this wonderful acoustic guitar throughout with so much ambience, and honestly, I think I should just show it uninterrupted for a bit. Also quite beautiful is Ghost of Tsushima's home menu theme. It fits the tone of the actual game very well, and although it is fairly high-pitched, drawing lots of attention to itself, it makes up for it by being quite the calming melody. I want to end off on two weird cases. The first being a game with music that sounds nothing like any other PS5 home menu theme I've heard. This game is Sports Friends. This is a game that went free in 2024 due to the company behind it no longer being able to support the game. This was the only game not to have a custom logo while having a PS5 home theme. I was originally confused why Sports Friends had a PS5 home theme, but turns out if you press down on a game on PS4 to see achievements and community stuff, it'll play the same song. This was valuable to me, since a good amount of PS4 games have PS5 home themes, and this is probably why. Ghost of Tsushima also has this. And I haven't even talked about the song itself, which is a bubbly, happy song. Not overly loud like Star Wars, but not calm like the first-party PS5 games. It's just fun and bubbly. Makes sense seeing as this is a local multiplayer party game. Now we end off on a bit of a weird case. It's a game whose music goes against everything I've said one should do for a good PS5 home menu song, but I still like it anyway, so I'm going to try and go to bat for it. Evil Dead the game. Evil Dead has an incredibly intense song, lots of string instruments and heavy backing bassy rhythm. Normally, I would hate this, since most of the PS5 home menu songs I like are ones that are very soft with melodies that don't draw attention to themselves. But the melody here fits Evil Dead so perfectly, and more importantly, I just like it, okay? I don't have the best argument for this one, but I just like it, okay? Now, seeing as this is a video essay on YouTube, and as we all know, all video essays on YouTube have clear and concise points at the end, what's my point at this video? Well, a few. 1. When people make video games, even very little things can have lots of thought put into them, like Final Fantasy XVI's main menu theme looping at a later point in the song so it's not as obvious. If the home menu song was thought of as just some small little thing that didn't matter, we wouldn't have gotten something like that. 2. I think it's interesting to critique and learn from things this small. I genuinely like the PS5 music and the music of the games on it for the reasons I stated earlier, and it is a marked improvement from the PS4, and I might honestly say it's better than the PS3's. But with something so small, I don't think many people outside of those sitting on a yoga ball are gonna seriously analyze it, so I wanted to be the one to do that. When we analyze what does and doesn't work for a good PS5 home menu theme, we can use that to improve on this admittedly incredibly niche subsection of music. But it's still good to find where things can be improved regardless of how important it is. I was originally gonna end this video off with a write-up about how to make a good PS5 home menu theme, but in doing so, I kept finding contradictions. I originally thought you'd want it to be slow, but I like the intensity of GTA 5's home menu theme. I thought you'd want it to be quiet, but I like the Evil Dead game's theme, so that idea kind of went into the bin. It's cliche, but I think for this, it's best to not define strict rules for what's good and what's bad. The productive thing here, I think, is to just look at what works and what doesn't, and use that to let people be creative with it while learning from what others have done. Sorry for not having a straight answer this time around, but I really think it's the best way. Just look at what works, and then decide on your own what you like and what you don't. Thanks for watching. Sorry for the lack of point. I hope it was good, though.